spoke earlier about how His Excellency really helped the southeastern business owners to thrive, especially in his days of customs. But again, when you look at the conversation now, and I know you've spoken about the fact that during the time when perhaps it was Majid who spoke about that earlier during the convention, he had block votes from the southeast as well. I mean, from Imo, Ebonyi, Delta State. But in real time now, considering the conversation politically and interest groups from the southeast, and this question mark of whether the votes will be split down in the south is because of the presence of the P2B's candidacy. What are the voices of the businessmen in this conversation? Are they truly behind His Excellency, and have they also shown any form of endorsement?
Well, I'm not one to tell myself any falsehood or create a euphoria that has no basis, in reality. If you watched when Tinubu went to Ebonyi State, and you saw what the governor was able to organize in terms of the rally they had in Ebonyi State, it tells you something, that the Southeast is becoming the beautiful bride. We have a son, or sons, not just one. We have sons, about 3 or 4 of them, who are running for presidency. Some of them might attempt to even win their local government. You don't know what is going to happen. And then we have 2 governors who are APC governors. You don't wave them, just wave them away. We have 2 governors who are PDP governors, and we have 1 governor from P2B's home state, which is my home state, that is Abga. And there's a lot of anger also in Abga now. So much anger, because they also look that Peter abandoned them. Sooner did Ojukwu die, he abandoned it and ran into PDP. And we all followed him. And PDP gave him the anger is that PDP gave Peter so much recognition. And that recognition was because Atiku Abubakar believed that this is the time to bring Igbos back into the mainstream of Nigerian politics. And he saw Peter as a hopeful, youthful, progressive, and intelligent young man. And he took him over, made him his vice presidential candidate. And for all the 3 times Atiku had run for office, only people from the southeast. It's only now that he took somebody from south-south, still Igbo. So he has always had a reason to bring our people back to the mainstream. There's a lot of hatred. I must say it. Unfortunately, there's a lot of hatred against our people, not minding all the contributions we have made to national economy. And in so many other spheres, people look at us with, I don't know why, but Atiku is one of the very few Nigerians who still believe that there is so much Igbos can still contribute to make this country stronger than it is today. And that's all he's trying to do, to give us a sense of belonging. Not that he's the only one who can do it, but he has a machinery over time that he can do it, because he has proven that he has the capacity so to do.
All right. Again, earlier on I sort of muted on the need to bring the young population together, especially those from the southeast extraction, because when you look on the platforms, on the social media, the conversations, the engagement, you can see the energy, you can see the need, you can see the want, of something new. And you talked earlier about I still go back to your conversation on the support, from His Excellency to the southeast businessmen, and especially after the Civil War. You mentioned that. But how many young Igbo persons are aware of this? What is the deliberate efforts to create awareness on this and sensitize the young Igbo people to understand that there is a backstory to this man's emergence and his support for Igbo businessmen?
There was a time on this platform, I made a comment, assuming we tell the whole of the Southeast to vote for P2B today, which is impossible. But assuming the 5 governors now decide, let us give P2B 80% of our votes. And I said it on this platform, if those votes are given to him and we cannot translate that vote to national victory, that's a win for Tinubu. A lot of people abused me then, but now every day I receive beautiful letters, comments, that since now they are seeing what I saw. Because they now saw the rally David Umahi had to Tinubu in Ebonyi State. There's no way that governor cannot deliver 25 to 30% to his candidate. That's already a loss to both PDP and to PDP. Imo governor is APC. You can't tell me that unless otherwise stated that he will not deliver 25% to the Tinubu. That's a loss to P2B. That's a loss to PDP. That's why I was saying, if he had had effective consultation, this nonsense will not be happening. Because not only is he running for president, he has candidates for governorship, has candidates for senatorial election, Federal House of Representatives, and state houses of assembly in the 5 states. So for the governors, it is a challenge. That is no more, it's not an Igbo project. It's not an Igbo project. It is his personal ambition he is trying to exhibit, but fortunately for him, he's a Nigerian of Igbo extraction. So other people also have other processes they hope to bring Igbos into the mainstream. So it's only in Christianity that we have only one way. You can't go to God unless you pass through Jesus Christ. In politics, you can move to success through so many avenues that are available to you, depending on the arrangements you're making. So what I'm saying is that nobody will tell you that this is what exactly will happen in the Southeast. But what I can tell you is that there's no state in the Southeast Atiku Abubakar will not make at least 25, 30, 40%. But from what I'm seeing happening now, with due humility, he might make at least 50, 60% in the 5 states. Because people are now realizing if we lose this because of emotional trust, it's going to be a debilitating factor for Igbos in future. A lot of people are thinking in that wise. So they have to be very careful how they use their vote. Because if Tinubu wins, it's another 16 years. If he runs 8 years, 8 years go back to the north, it will be another 16 years before it will come down to the south. But if Atiku wins, maximum 8 years, it will come back to the south. And he has already said it in Enugu, that he must ensure somebody from the southeast takes over by the grace of God. So what I'm saying in effect is that only God knows tomorrow. But we are very hopeful that with the efforts we are making and the nature of the man Atiku Abubakar, who has over time built so much relationship. You see, politics is about relationships. It's about relationships. It's just like boyfriend, girlfriend. There are things you cannot do to a friend over time. So once you develop it, it's a cult. It's a political cult that, sometimes surpasses relationships of tribe. That if he calls me on the phone now, say, Dan, what is going on? I want you to do this for me. And I would just feel that an elder brother, a younger brother has just called me to do something. That's the way we look at, the political processes. All the corruptions being carried out, not being neglected, as it were. Because I had an opportunity to talk about corruption, which people have not asked me. And if you will allow me, each time references are made about corruption of past leaders. And I'm one of the few people who don't believe it is true. One of the few people who don't believe it's true. Because take the former Eastern region. Look at Nnamdi Azikiwe. Was he corrupt? Look at M.I. Okpara. One of the most selfless leaders this country has ever had. Was Premier of Eastern region, never had an empty plot in Enugu. When he died, we contributed money to build a small bungalow in his place to bury him. Look at Alvan Ikoku, the father of S.G. Ikoku. Look at Simon Mbakwe of yesterday. Look at Jim Mobodo. We had people, but the corruption in this country is systemic in the civil service because they are the people who know what happens. If you come to the north, look at Ahmadu Bello. Was he corrupt? You are a young grown-up man now. Go around anywhere in this country or in the north of Kaduna, they tell you this house belongs to Ahmadu Bello. You will never see it. Look at Tafawa Balewa, Prime Minister of this country at the best of times. Was he corrupt? Look at Shehu Yaradua, the father of the 2 Yaraduas. He was Minister of Lagos Affairs, not an empty plot in VI or in Ikoyi. They enjoyed office. They enjoyed office. Look at even of recent NPN, Umaru Diko, that the military started complaining, accusing of being corrupt. When he died, they found not one plot anywhere. There are people who enjoyed politics. And the same thing in the West. Look at Ahmadu, Awolowo, Akintola, a lot of them. So when you look at the corruption in this country, it is systemic in the civil service. Directors, permanent secretaries, these are people who hold this country down. And they are the people who go to tell ministers how to quickly make money. So anybody who is going to really fight corruption in this country has to look at the civil service. Because there's nothing that will happen about corruption that the civil service will not know. Because it passes through their process. There's no magic about corruption. It has to be award contract, pay somebody who has done a job or who has done nothing. And they know, the accountant general must know what is going on. That is why presently, you know what is happening with the accountant general of Nigeria? 100 and something billion. That is the allegation. And now he's free, he's been granted bail. 100 and something billion, walking about. And then Nnamdi Kanu is in jail for doing nothing, just airing the aspirations of his people. So all this government has succeeded in doing in 8 years, this is Nnamdi Kanu, Nnamdi Kanu, Nnamdi Kanu. That's all they have succeeded in doing. As if that is the important thing for this country, that the bandits and Boko Haram are killing people everywhere. Now the Southeast has been taken over by Fulani herdsmen, killing people all over the place. The president will not address it. It's in Nnamdi Kanu that it become the issue. Is that how we're going to run a country? We need some level of inclusivity for everybody in this country. And our people must be put into the mainstream of the Nigerian political process for there to be unity. And that is what Atiku Abubakar is going to do.
I'm just thinking, you said in your earlier comments that the Southeast has a better chance with the eventual emergence of Atiku Abubakar as president come 2023, that is going to be closer to have a president from the Southeast if Atiku Abubakar emerges. And you also mentioned that Peter Obi was one vehicle that the Southeast had in mind. If peradventure Atiku Abubakar emerges after 8 years, will the Southeast still be willing to put forward Peter Obi? If
I'll be Jesus Christ to answer that question. I don't know who and who will be alive that time. But as a Christian, I believe that if God has destined you for something, it must be. If God says Peter Obi will be president of Nigeria next year, he will be. I cannot stop that. If God says he will be president after Atiku Abubakar, he will be. But for the politics I know, it is not Hail Mary. The road to power is not Hail Mary full of grace. No, it has nothing to do with it. It's only when the righteous wins power that the poor will rejoice. But you have to win that power first. And the process of winning power, look at all over the world, it's not, Madam, put extra candle for me. You have to do certain nearly impossible things to make sure that you win. It happened at the Russian Revolution of 1918 when the Pompadour bourgeoisie decided to change the system, and they changed the system. So we need somebody to have courage to change the system, and you cannot change the system without winning an election. And once you win an election, then you have a purpose of direction. This is why people are complaining about Tinubu. He doesn't appear to have any purpose of direction. Why is he afraid to address this country about what his intentions are? He was a very vibrant man when MKO Abiola was doing his pro-democracy thing. He was very vibrant. Why has he suddenly? It's not the Tinubu people used to know. Suddenly eclipsed. Has never mentioned about restructuring. He was the chairman secretary of restructuring in Nigeria. Up to the time he finished his second term as governor of Lagos State. For the past 8 years, he has never mentioned restructuring. It doesn't come into his terminology anymore. So something wrong must be going on somewhere, certainly.